Hey Raindrops, now before we get into this video, I want to invite you to my community. Yes, the YouTube community of subscribers. So make sure you like and subscribe to this channel. I love it when you guys comment on my posts and the videos. It makes me feel good. So don't forget, like and subscribe to this channel. Hey Raindrops, we are here with one of the women who I consider to be one of the force multipliers of Love and Hip Hop franchise, the outspoken, the beautiful, the talented Moniece Slaughter.
Thank you for having me. I made it.
You're
Finally.
so pretty in person.
Thank you. I don't do well with compliments. They make me like.
No, listen, you're a baddie. You're a baddie. You really are.
You.
And you're so sweet. You don't do a lot of interviews either.
Mm-mm.
So I appreciate you saying yes.
Thank you.
To talking to me when you were on reality television. But I want to take a step back. I do feel like you're so misunderstood because you are an outspoken woman.
I didn't think you liked me.
You didn't think I liked you?
Mm-hmm.
Why?
Because I had commented on a few things before, and I was just like, I see he responds to a lot of like reality stars. But
I love the girls.
I was like, I don't know. Like, did I do something?
Do you respond to me? Like on my page or like on the blogs?
Like anywhere you've popped up, and then I followed you, then I unfollowed you. I was like, fuck him. He didn't follow me back.
We're gonna settle that.
I was like, unfollow.
Oh
baby,
my God.
Unfollow.
Well, we don't want any of that, boo. So follow you back. No, that's the thing, though. The thing about it is this. That is so funny. I always thought you were so fascinating because I'm a huge fan of the franchise. And when Hollywood came about, I mean, listen, girl, obviously, you know, you were the one to watch because you just didn't give a fuck. And that was so fascinating to me. But what more so is your background, because I don't feel like people really know you. You know, they know what we've seen on the show, what we see in the blogs, and we'll touch on that too so that I'm able to get some clarity from you about those things. But more importantly, you really do come from a legacy of highly successful musicians. Your father was a part of Take Six, which is an iconic group. So you grew up in this industry, and what was that like for you, though? Like, did you know your father was like that guy?
No, actually. I mean, if that's all you know. He was just my dad. Like, I knew he sang, I knew he toured, I knew he traveled, but I didn't really realize the impact, honestly, until I want to say like within the past like 6 or 7 years, when I realized how many of my peers, from Chris Brown to Eric Bellinger to, and I won't, Usher is in a league of his own, but even Usher, Ty Dolla $ign, Wiz Khalifa, all the sampling that these artists do. Usher listens to them before he does his shows. So I didn't really realize I think the first time I realized like, whoa, was when he started working with the Backstreet Boys. And then I was like, oh, shoot, you know? But then time goes on, you know? So it was just normal. I didn't think like, whoa. But I was actually fascinated to know how many people in my generation who were like literally musically inclined and gifted, not just knew about him, but were actually like students. So that was pretty cool to learn.
Did you always have this innate talent of singing because of who your father was?
Well, he's not my biological father, but he has raised me my entire life. And he and my mom were childhood sweethearts, literally, like 2nd and 3rd grade. So I didn't know I could sing. I wanted to be a gold medalist. I wanted to be a gymnast. So I was not even thinking about music. And then that came up. And then I was just like, oh, I can sing. Who knew? Because nobody on either biological side of my family is a singer. So not my biological dad and not my mom. You know, she makes up words as she goes to the songs, convinces herself that those are the words. You know, I don't know what my bio dad does, but I know he doesn't sing. I know that's for damn sure. So, but I didn't find out I could sing until I was like 15 or 16.
Wow, that later in life. How did you find out?
My dad was producing my big cousin's album, and he needed somebody to come in and do some backgrounds. And he came to me and he was like, "Do you think you could hit this note?" And he gave me the note, and he was like, "Surprisingly good. Can you hit this one?" So he just kept asking me to hit the notes, and we were at home, and he was like, "I think you can do it." He was like, "It should be fairly easy. You seem to be a good listener," which is shocking. But, you know, he told me about the differences in live singing and studio singing. He was like, "It might be easy for you. I think it'll be easy, but take into consideration you'll have on headphones, you'll be hearing like a bunch of different sounds and instruments, and you'll hear a lead vocal and you're going to hear the chorus, but I need you to focus on your note." And so being in the studio was easy. It wasn't hard. And then my dad was like, "I think I could make you something." And so from there he did. He started making like tracks for me in different genres, teaching me how to write music. He tried to teach me guitar. I was like, fuck this. You know, I couldn't wear like the nails, and playing guitar for real, like your fingers get bloody and it's just weird. So from there I just figured out my niche, which is R&B. And I'm very much a ballad singer and writer, and I used to hate that. But like all things, you grow up, wisdom, experience, and it's not a bad thing to be able to say like, okay, this is what I'm good at. Let me now outsource. So now I do work with like other writers for my own projects, which I never did before. So every project was always like slow and ballady, and I never had mids, I never had up tempos, and now I have like a little bit of everything, but I still get to write my ballads, which is basically how I write my story. It's weird, like I don't hear a story when I listen to a mid-tempo track or an up-tempo track. There's no, in my mind, storytelling in that for me. So that's where I need help. So I'm sure if I had listened to my dad, I'd have a couple Grammys by now. But you know, thought I knew it all.
Well, listen, every teenager goes through that phase. So when you were a young woman in this Hollywood world, you know, the music industry, as we're seeing now, is very
different.
What was your experience like being a young woman in the industry, like dealing with like making music and dealing with producers? And I'm sure you probably met some of the most famous people in the world. What was that like for a young, pretty woman?
I grew up in a 2-parent household. We're a highly dysfunctional family, as I'm sure every family has their level of dysfunction and their stuff. But I always say, as dysfunctional as we are and were, there are certain things that my parents taught me that stuck with me. So I was a wild child for a second, for sure. But that didn't happen until I moved out at like 18, 19.
A wild child in what sense?
Literally just priorities out of whack, access to everything and everyone. Partying, didn't really care about a job. I was pretty. I always had a rich boyfriend. So just kind of like, whatever. Not sleeping, not taking care of my voice. And then it was a gift and a curse because I am extremely talented. And when I was growing up and I was in the girl groups, or like, you know, my dad would take me to meetings or sessions, there was always a parent present. I was never in a rehearsal. I was never in a studio session. I was never at an audition. I was never at a showcase without one or both of my parents. So I was never left unattended. So by the grace of God, I was not taken advantage of physically. And then the curse was, as I got older, and kind of came from under my dad's umbrella and safety net, then you kind of see the darker side of the industry. You start to see the inner workings of, you know, how people are like ripping people off, you know, their publishing and producer credits. I've seen some of the craziest fights in the studio. I've seen some of the craziest girlfriends, wives pop up. I mean, from faking to be pizza delivery people and coming out the trunk to all kind of stuff. Like it's crazy, but
wow.
And I'm stoned right now. But yeah, that happened. That happened more times than I can even remember. So it was cool because I had access when I wanted to create for real and take it seriously for real. But then it sucked because it was just like everybody just wants to bang you. But I actually have a moral compass and I have like integrity and I do have dignity and have always been a relationship type of person. And so I've always been tricked, I feel, I've been tricked out my cat, Carlos, you know? Basically, everybody, like, you know, saying they want a relationship, right? Saying that they want the same things I want. Mm-hmm. You know, I knew early on, yeah, I want to be married. Eventually, yeah, I want to have kids. So guys saying what you want to hear, and me coming from this 2-parent household and being so sheltered, like, oh, I'm in love. Yeah, floodgates open. And
the
now
lanes
it's
started opening.
Yeah, and now it's like, oh, let's take it slow. But then that makes it weird because now I'm in a session, and then here you come, and now I'm like, but it's like you don't really know. I don't know. So it was like, it was a double-edged sword. Like the access, fun, you know, and then this, and everybody knows whose daughter I am. So I felt like, well, I mean, people have the utmost respect for my dad, so
right.
I don't think they'd play with me. But now the older I am, and I look online and I'm looking at who's the football guy with the toe that got amputated, and the daughter, and Jacquees and the thing.
Oh, you're talking about Deion Sanders and Jacquees. And
yeah, it's like if his daughter can get duped, like if Jay-Z can cheat on Beyonce and we've never found out what goes on in the elevator, I am not exempt. Like, so I guess it just happens. Like, fuck, you know?
You think, I think her name is Deandra. You think Deandra got duped?
Child, from them text messages I saw, I felt so bad. Because I've been there, but like really you're hurt. It's like you're angry typing from the other side. Anyway.
Then you got
sidetracked.
Who was your first celebrity boyfriend that you had?
Little Eazy-E was my first boyfriend.
Eazy-E's son. Mm-hmm. How old were you?
I was fresh out of high school. I met him I feel like I might have even met him in my senior year, I think. Mm-hmm. But I didn't lose my virginity to him until after I graduated high school in 2005. So that was my first everything except for my first kiss.
And what was that relationship like?
It was crazy. I didn't know he had, and shout out to you, Eric. You're my dog now. We're good. Just telling the truth. But it was wild. It was unhealthy. It was toxic. We were both really young. He was already a dad. He had money. My family had money. So I remember busting missions with my friend Rachel Markowitz.
You're busting missions.
We were busting missions to his house because he was cheating, but it's in my mind, why would you cheat on me? I really didn't think he had other girlfriends, but again, here's this naivety and me being sheltered, and I'm just no, but why isn't he answering the phone? But then, all my other friends were already sexually active, so they're like, girl, no, this is what's going on. Da-da-da-da. We need to go find out. And I'm like, yeah, you're right, we do. And Rachel is short and she was rotund. And so we would send Rachel to the door because she could She was like the door stopper, bro. Like we would use her and like shove her in the door to like block the door so I could get in. Shout out to Big Bruce, Eric Security, for never, for not putting hands on us, you know. But other than that, like, it was crazy. It was a time.
You have lived a very interesting life.
Very
we need
full.
to see the biopic of Moniece Slaughter's life. Who's the most famous guy you've ever dated?
Shaq.
You dated Shaq?
Mm-hmm.
I didn't know that.
Mm-hmm.
When?
During 2012, on and off. Until 2016.
What was that like?
A mess. Toxic. Yeah, his birthday's 2 days after mine. And those male Pisces, I'm March 4th, he's March 6th.
He's like divorced from Shawnee.
Yeah, no, that was not a thing.
Yeah.
At all.
And it was just like, was he cheating on you?
Yeah, a lot. And then it was like I was dumped, but didn't know I was dumped until like Roxy Diaz popped up on the internet. And then I was like, oh, okay. And then we got matching tattoos. And then after the tattoo, he was in the Bahamas with hoops. And I'm like zooming in. And I'm like, that's the tattoo.
She got it too?
No.
Oh.
Like, but the tattoo was like literally we got the tattoos in like October and November. And then he was like saying to me he was going to let me know like what our plans were going to be for New Year's Eve. And then boom, he popped up in the Bahamas with her for New Year's. So I was like, oh, all right. And then I can't remember. There was like another one after Roxy. And then I was just like, okay, so clearly this is not like a serious thing. His complaint was always my mouth. But I'm like, it's not really my mouth. You're just mad because I'm like, stop fucking other women.
Because did you think you were in an exclusive relationship with Shaq?
That's what he said. The fuck? If you tell me that, then yeah. You know what I mean? Like, yeah.
So off and on from 2012 to 2016, and you found out he's with Hoops. Did you?
That was the first one. It was Hoops. Then he blocked me because I confronted him about it. And then he popped back up. And then it was Roxy. Then I confronted him about that. And then he blocked me. Then he popped back up. So it was like intervals. And I'm like, okay, but then it's weird because we're out in public. Like we're at Habibi, the hookah lounge in Westwood. We're like Miami, walking through the Fontainebleau. People in the elevator asking him for pictures. And he's like, you have to ask her permission. So it's like,
we go together.
Yeah, you come to my apartment, you sign the Hall of Fame ball for my son. So, I mean, I don't know, like, then you move down the street from me and I'm like, come into the house and so I guess exclusive.
How did you break things up with him?
It's just when I get blocked. Then we're broken up.
Moniece, like, so you and Shaq broke up. You knew it was
I got
over
blocked.
because you got blocked. I mean, it's not funny, but you know, we can laugh at it.
It is. It's ridiculous. It's utterly fucking ridiculous. It's dumb. But that's how he breaks up. So whatever. So we haven't spoken.
You haven't spoken since the blockage?
The blockage. We haven't spoken since, the pandemic. It's been like 3 years.
Did he try to like?
I wouldn't know. He's always blocking me, and I'm always changing my number. So unless he unblocks me on Instagram,
Are you still blocked?
I don't know. Probably.
You gotta check.
I gotta check. I don't know if I'm still blocked or not. Let's see. When I changed my number, that was how he found me the last time. He's like, "How dare you change your number and not tell me?" I was like, "Oh, I'm back."
The moment of
truth. I'm still blocked.
You're still blocked?
Yes.
Well, honey, you lived. The one thing I love about women like you who are just so honest, I always tell my friends, like, I love a woman who is so honest and who lived. Because I feel like you can sit back and be like, a bitch lived.
I did. You know what? I wish I would have lived for a little more money, though. I was living for love. I wish I should. I wish I would have, like, can I be on the get the bills paid list, or is that just for the hoes, or what? Like,
I heard the hoes are winning.
I hear, and I just want to be a hoe so bad. I do.
But
I just don't have it in it. I don't have it in me. Yeah, because it's like, if you're going to fly me out, can I sleep for the first 48 hours? I need to rest. I need, like, to eat. I need to listen to my sleep music. Without you trying to, like, poke me, prod me. Like, I have to mentally prepare to just be sledded out. Like, so can I just, and it's like, but then what if I get there and I don't like you anymore? But it's like, you flew me out. So now it's like, but then no, F that. I'm not a hoe. But there's a whole activity. This is just a whole thing that goes on in my mind that I'm just like, I'm probably not going to be the best hoe. I'm probably not going to be an obedient hoe. I'm definitely not going to be a quiet hoe. So maybe hoeing is just not the route. But a girl can dream. I do. I wonder about it.
You be having whole dreams.
I wonder about it. I really do. And I really desire to be that because they seem like they're having a lot of fun. And their cars are really cool. I'm like, wow, I'm missing out. I'm really working. And I shouldn't have to. No one else is working. But I am.
This is the real life dilemma that
Yeah.
a lot of women are going through nowadays. I know a lot of women who are like, Carlos, the hoes are winning.
They are.
And I'm like, what do you mean? They're like, bitch, like you said, to get flued out to all over the world for a bag at the end. Now, granted, you got to give up the goods.
Oh, I'm not, honey, a bag? There's a bag on my body. It's called an inside-out coin purse. I'm not coming to hoe and leaving with something I came with. Like, no. The bag? Oh, you mean the money bag?
No,
the bag of money? Or are you talking about a purse?
Sometimes the girls get a nice little, Chanel bag. But you want the ABF Swift code numbers, the wire transfers. You want that.
Yes. Otherwise, why am I hoeing? Like, what? Hoeing for Chanel? I can't. No. I could hoe for, like, a Wraith. I think. I don't know what level that is in the Rolls Royce world,
seems
but
very supreme.
Okay, something superior.
Yeah.
Magnanimous.
Bingo. But you're looking for love.
Yeah, I am.
Who was the greatest love of your life?
Oh, that's a good question. Looking back in hindsight, no one.
No one?
Knowing what I know now.
But back then, like because we all have had our heart broken, right? Some multiple times, some one times. But there's always one that hurts the most.
Oh, well, I'm not going to say her name, but my ex, very much in love. So was she. Just a lot of toxicity on both of our parts. Both being capable, but also both being completely unwilling. Because of a lack of trust, because of a difference in upbringing, because of you know, not everybody deals with depression and anxiety the same way I do. Our lives were completely different when we met. So then for me, the feeling of being used started to creep in. She was a runner, so constantly dumping me. My mouth is slick, so hitting below the belt. Physical altercations. So it was just like, it was too much. But I really feel like before we got to that point, I was literally begging, but I just in my gut knew it wasn't going to work out at the end of the day. And so I actually wasn't shocked the last time she left. I wasn't, and this is the only time I've ever, well, between her and Shaq, I've never been dumped by anybody. Those are the only two. So, but yeah, we were living together. Only relationship that I'd ever integrated my son into. Like fully, everybody else has been either they've never met him or it's an accident or in passing, literal passing. Like dad is picking him up or as like passing. So at that time, she's the only one he'd ever met. And when she and I first started dating, he was only 6. So by the time she left the last time, he was 9 going on 10. But that one was just like crushing. I literally was like, oh, I'll never be able to love anybody ever again after her. And I spent a lot of time like extremely depressed and alone. I mean, to the point where like I would roll out, like when I say lose track of time, I would literally roll over and be like, it's me today. Oh. And roll back over. Like look at the bathroom from my bed and just be like, tomorrow. So if I didn't have to pee, I was not getting up, and peeing was so quick. So, and then I would use like wipes, like what? So in my mind, I'm like, okay, I'm clean enough to change my boxers and get back into bed. But like showering, brushing my teeth, eating, I wasn't even watching TV. Like I literally was just in the bed. And if I wasn't asleep, I was literally just laying there. Excedrin, BC powder, Red Bull, Coca-Cola, coffee. Just that's the only thing that got me through the weeks with my son. Because the week I didn't have him, I just wasn't doing anything.
So while you was going through that, he would be with his dad if he wasn't home.
So we're week on, week off. So during his dad's week, I have a week off. During that week off, I'm literally doing nothing. And then I'm like, okay, tomorrow's Monday. I got to go get Cam from school. Got to pull it together. I would literally sleep all day. I would get up. I would go to the grocery store, get what I knew he needed, go straight from the store, pick him up from school, unload the groceries, and cook and barely get through homework. My son's 3rd grade year, he had 18 tardies because I could not get myself like out of the bed. My psychiatrist had to write a note to the school. Because he's in 3rd grade, obviously he's not driving himself to school. Right. And then when I looked over all the dates, all of the tardies except for one were during his time with me. So I was like, okay, yeah, this is like nuts. And I was that way for a good like 7 months.
Have you been clinically diagnosed having depression?
Yeah, situational depression. So clinical depression, it's depression triggered by a particular situation, but when the depressive state comes on, it's clinical. So it's just, you get up and you fight through it or you don't. And then I just got to the point where I was like, okay. Literally the house was dusty. It was spotless, but it was dusty. And I remember going downstairs to get something to drink. And I was like, this feels eerie to know that I don't even come down here. Like, I literally don't come down here. Like, had water stashed by the bed so I didn't have to get up. But, like, the floors were literally dusty because nothing out of place, nothing out of sorts, no rotten food because I was constantly ordering in, not cooking unless I had my son. But it felt like a scary, like a spooky house because I'm like, I really don't use the house. Like I'm really just in the bed. And then I would go upstairs and it was to my room and it was chaos. All of the clothes, all of the bath towels. I would change the sheets, just dump everything. So my room became literally like I couldn't even walk through a closet, through a bathroom floor, the bedroom floor without literally tromping through things that needed to be washed. And I did laundry for a straight 3 weeks. That's how much it had piled over. I was like, okay, did I really wear like leather leggings because I'm out of boxers and sleep shorts? That's nuts. I'm that lazy.
Wow.
And then sometimes when I would go get my son from school, I would stop at Target and get more boxers for me to sleep in so I didn't have to wash. Like, it was insane. And then I was just like, okay, yeah, no, I can't. Summer is coming. Let me just get it together. And then COVID happened, and it was just like the best thing that happened to me. I was like, oh, yes.
Because you have an excuse now, too.
Well, it wasn't the excuse. It was, I felt like I was just overwhelmed, uncertain about my future professionally because I'd left the show, uncertain about my financial future because I'd left the show, and finding work in other areas outside of that is so hard. And then it was like God didn't just slow the world down, but he stopped it just in time. Literally just in time. Yeah. And it gave me a chance to just rest, relax. My son at that point was in homeschooled, so I had to be disciplined. I had to still get up every day, but now instead of being able to get up and go back to sleep, I was a teacher. So now instead of my housekeeper coming twice a week, I was the housekeeper. And that's where I have to thank my parents because I was able to do those things. I don't think most of these hoes these days even know how to. I don't think they know they should be separating their colors from their darks from their lights. I don't think them hoes know to wash your whites on hot. Your colors on cool and your darks on cold. Did y'all know that? I knew that. And I don't think they know how to try full bath towels either, but I do.
Which is why we gotta make sure you find the love of your life.
Yes.
But prior to that, so you brought up Love and Hip Hop. How did you get cast to be on that show?
So apparently my name kept coming up like over and over and over. But I was the first one besides Morgan Hardman on the cast that had to have a kid. So I was out of the loop. I was literally walking to work. I had like a little slide, like Metro PCS phone with minutes because I didn't have a job. Well, and I got a job, but living at home with my parents, and I would get up, I would get Cam ready for school, like daycare, and then I would walk to work, and my dad would take him, and then my dad would pick him up, and I would walk home from work. And this one day, I was walking to the store. And it was literally like 2 lights from my parents' house. And Lisa Lee King called me, the casting director. And she's like, your name has been coming up and we've been looking for you, but no one had a current contact for you. And she's like, but then Omarion pitched Fizz and you just so happened to be who we were already looking for and the mother of his child and his ex. Can you come in? And I actually didn't want to do the show. So I said no twice. And then they were like, well, you know, if you don't do it, he can't do it. And I was like, well, why? And they were like, well, because there's no way to tell his story without you, and he's a whole dad. And I was like, I just feel like this nigga's about to do a 180 on me. Yeah. And they were like, no. And I was like, yes, he is. They were like, no, he's not. And I was like, you don't know him. And then sure enough, that first freaking scene, they were like, yeah, we just want to shoot a test scene. Nigga swiveled around in that studio chair, 180, just like I said, hit me so low. I was like,
Here we go.
Oh, I knew it. You little... I love my son. Sneaky devil, you. Yep. That's how I made it.
That's how you made it. And obviously, there is no Love and Hip Hop Hollywood without that. I mean, is that false? I mean, look, we had Ray J, who's great. We'll get to that in a second. Nicki, Baby, but obviously B2K for the Black audience, right? It's an iconic boy band. So we were like, oh, Lil Fizz is on here. Amaria had Apryl. We'll get to that in a second too. But like, you and Fizz conversations, and it was the heightened stakes of the relationship that really drew the eyeballs to it. But obviously, it was at the expense of your relationship with him.
We weren't together.
Well, not in terms of like the co-parenting.
Oh, the co-parenting.
The co-parenting relationship.
It was already in
with
the
him.
toilet when we started.
It was already.
And that just sent it to the septic tank. Season 1 was like the shit circling the drain, literally. And then season 2 was that shit was like traveling through the pipes. And then season 3 was when that shit hit the septic tank. And then it was like season 6, my final season, where the septic tank blew up. And shit just went everywhere. And it was like, well, now the only thing left to do is clean it up. And so either we are or we aren't. Because I'll swim through shit every time to punch you in the throat if I have to. So it's just like, what are we really like doing? And I knew that it was going to take one of us leaving the show to really strengthen the co-parenting, because I've always felt like there's nothing in him, even to this day, that wants to do anything to help me win in any area of my life professionally. And I'll give you a prime example. I had a thriving web series during COVID. Asked him to do one episode. He said no. First, he said he had to check with his people. That's what he said. I need to ask my people or my team. I need to ask my team to see if that's going to be a good look for me. It's a mukbang, bro. In my kitchen. While your son is screaming at Fortnite in his room in my home. Like, really? And then I came up with another, one of the episodes was about mental health, and I was going to give him the opportunity to discuss, as a Black father dealing with a Black baby mama, both of whom we've been in the public eye for a long time, and maybe Love and Hip Hop wasn't that proper space for him to express what he actually really felt. Without the frustration of the production and maybe even me, I don't know. But to really just give him a safe space so that I could actually really understand. And he said he had to check with his team to see if that would be a good look for him. So, but then he did my mom's podcast. So, multiple times. So you have to take small things like that, and this is where I am mature enough to say that is hurtful. I don't feel entitled, but it is very hurtful that as the father of my child, I have put many things in your lap that could have made you money. I don't know what you did with those opportunities, but the publisher who did my book, they were like, if they want to do a group tell-all, we would love to have it, When I was over at Forest Bias, I was like, I have a first look deal. I can pitch 3 shows. Like, do y'all want to do I see Raz talking about X, Y, and Z, but I give the contacts and the information and let both parties know that I've done so, and I move on, But our relationship was just crummy. But that's my dog now, so.
Are you guys good now?
Yeah.
Good relationship? Co-parenting?
He let me use his washer and dryer. He did.
Well, that's a good step in the right direction.
Yeah, he wasn't in town though. And he also said that I could use his shower too because the pipes at my house had burst. And so he was like, he actually made a joke and told me to wash my coochie since I didn't have water. And I was like, well, fuck you. I already went to my gay husband's house and took a shower, but ha 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 anyway. So that was nice. You know, I never in a million years thought, wow. I still brought my own detergent, but it's just the fact that like he let me use his washer and dryer. That was nice.
No, that's good. I mean, listen, it goes to show you that, you know, he's making baby steps.
Yes, I appreciate it.
You know, we like that. Is he dating anybody?
I don't know.
You guys don't talk about that.
We do not.
You keep it just to the kid.
Absolutely 100%.
Have you reconciled your friendship with Apryl Jones?
No.
Why haven't you extended?
Why would I extend
grace?
anything?
You don't.
I don't need to fix something I didn't break. So I don't need to extend anything. I don't need to extend my arm to pick up the phone to dial. I don't need to extend my thumbs to text. I don't need to extend my brain power or energy on a reconciliation. I don't need to extend my lips anymore to even talk about her. Wish her the best.
You wish her the best.
Mm-hmm.
Is the doors closed?
Yeah.
Forever, though?
100%.
Moniece, not forever, ever.
When I die, put her in the back at my funeral. Yes.
There's no room.
Because the back 5 rows on each side of the church, the last 5 pews, those are for people that I don't like, that I need in my death to know. I've literally told my cousins, lest you survive me and we are still young enough, this is how this seating is going to go. The people I don't like, I need them in the last 5 pews on both sides. The most ridiculous ones, I want you to make an example out of them. I'm going to leave some handwritten letters. I want you to read what I genuinely feel about these people and what I've carried with them in my heart. Yes, what I think about them, feel about them, and have carried about them in my heart until my casket literally dropped. This is how she felt about you, literally. And then I want the next 5 pews on both sides to be the people that I'm not too sure about, but make an example for the rest of them. Make an example out of them for the other ones that I wasn't sure about. The ones that I know I wasn't sure about, read why I wasn't sure about them niggas too. So that the rest of the niggas that I'm not sure about now know that maybe I'm in this group because I'm in this group. And so she would go in the last 5 pews of my funeral. For sure. If I died in the next, God forbid, knock on wood,
yes,
my
please.
baby. But lest I meet an untimely passing by, before the age of 60. Because I know I'll have some cousins that really are still going to ride for me at that point. They'll execute my final wishes. That's how closed the door is. Because the back 5 pews also have to be dismissed because they're not allowed to go to my repast and get free food and entertainment. So you came to church hungry for a service, you got red for filth, and now you're leaving before the repast.
Who will be sitting next to Apryl in that row? Is there anybody else that we may know that would be in the same row as Apryl?
No.
Just okay.
Not that I could think of.
Okay. I'm shocked, Moniece. I wasn't aware that the issue that the whole Omarion, Apryl, Moniece thing, because obviously I know you were upset because Apryl started dating Fizz, and obviously
it was the lies.
It was the lies.
It was the lies. It was embarrassing because I had been defending them. I literally said out loud to K. Michelle, I don't think they'd be that morally bankrupt. Because I knew that they were hanging out and vacationing and stuff from 2016, 17. Literally, pictures of them in Mexico, but it didn't look like a thing. Excuse me. And it was a group. So I was like, I don't know, whatever. So I never said anything to him or her about it. I also know the father of my child. So I know he was mad at Omarion. And I know that this has been a thing that he has done to Omarion throughout the years, even when they were in the group. Everybody that Omarion liked, here comes Drew. And I knew that Apryl was vulnerable. And so even when they came on the show, I still was like, not thinking they were a thing. My son hadn't mentioned it. And then one day he did. Literally, like, just driving down the street in good old Calabasas. And my son's like, oh, there's where, he said, no, Apryl and Daddy have a house right here. I knew I was close to your house. And I was like, oh, that's nice. And he's like, yeah, except I have to share a room with Mega. And I was like, oh, okay. Never said anything to his dad, never said anything to her. And then one day I was like, what's the street cam? Now at this point, we've already been filming. Mm-hmm. So months have gone by in between Cam making that voluntary statement and this next occurrence, which is we're driving, literally, same road. And I'm like, what was the street cam? And he's like, I don't know, you need to ask my dad because that's none of my business. So he said, you need to talk to him about it. And then we started doing exchanges at the Starbucks on Ventura and Topanga. And it was like he would smash out of that parking lot. Like, sir, no one is trying to follow you home. Okay? I don't give a fuck. I just don't know where my kid is living. But at the time, that made me mad because I'm like, I'm sure Omari knows where his kids are. But why am I being ostracized? And I didn't even fucking ask. Matter of fact, I was defending you little critters. You little hood boogers. I was defending you. Legit. And I felt like it was more of a disloyal action towards Omarion, more so than it was to me.
But did you feel like she broke the girl code?
Oh, for sure. 100%.
And that's the ultimate betrayal for you.
No, the ultimate betrayal was the fact that you joined in on the bandwagon of kick me while I was down, but then you sat there and cried about going through the same things, allegedly, at the hands of Omarion. So for you to have been a now single mom and for you to be back on the same platform as me after you left, because you were in a relationship and he felt like you guys should move on from that. And then for you to have been experiencing the same things that I was saying I was experiencing, allegedly. And then for you to accuse me of having a problem with you because you're dating him. I could give two craps about who the man dates. The thing is, then you start telling my son things like, oh, you need to ask my dad. The thing is, now you're showing up at my door at 10 o'clock at night, and you've never even been to my house and never even had my address, which means the only way you could have gotten there is that he gave it to you or he drove you. So which one is it? And he drove you to my home, and you felt comfortable enough to come knock on my door while my son was inside to give me the book for summer school. The crazy thing about that is to say that you're not gaslighting me is crazy. Because the only time I don't unravel, for the most part, I have had emotional breakdowns and outbursts in front of my child, yes. But when it comes to his dad, that's not it. No, we don't do that. So, girl, fuck you. Because you knew I wasn't about to blow up in my own house in front of my child. And you come waving the book, white tank top, no bra on, like boxers. So it's like, you know, first of all, the fact that you were even comfortable doing that on my doorstep is nuts. Because I should have socked you in your throat and then tased you and watched you pee on yourself, but I didn't. So, you know, that type of behavior, it wasn't the dating. you're asked for that for sure. But then it was just like the mounting disrespect. It was crazy. It was wild. It was nuts. And then I was having to like behind the scenes because Omarion's manager is good friends with my mom. So I was just like, okay. And that's what I always try to explain to people. For me, it's way deeper than just what people are seeing on the camera. This is a result of now my parents coming to me saying, okay, well, I know you didn't do this, you didn't cause this. This is not your, yes, it's part of your storyline, but when you deal with it, it would be best that you probably deal with it this way because then other things are affected. Mm-hmm. Friendships off camera are affected. Business relationships off camera are affected. If I fly off the handle, and I also don't like that, it's always me that has to hold it together. It's always me that's held to the you're better than that standard. It's always me that can't come undone, but that's not even my personality type. So it's something that I have to work on really hard. And now I'm in these scenes, guts bubbling, head hurting, back tight. You know what I'm saying? Tongue turning white, bitch, because I'm dehydrated, because I really this is not how I would handle things. But now I'm in here trying to handle things appropriately, and it's hard. Mm-hmm. It's like, okay, well, fuck it.
Do you feel like you're very misunderstood?
I feel like I'm slightly misunderstood. Yes, I will beat your ass. Yes, I'm very intelligent.
You're very pretty.
Thank you. I think the misunderstandings are that I don't do anything. I just sit around on the internet and just comment all day. I comment mostly at nighttime when I'm in my bed, just for anyone who cared. And the day is over. Or like if I have surgery and I'm recovering and I can't move or do anything and I'm bedridden, in between antibiotic cycles and pain pills and things like that, then I'll comment, But I think there's a grave misunderstanding that I just don't do anything. There's a grave misunderstanding that the things that I comment and that I say are just coming from some weird space in my mind. And people forget, like, I had a whole life before Lies and Flip Flop. Is it possible that...
You called it what?
Lies and Flip Flop. Is it possible that I've experienced this? Is it possible that I'm commenting from a space of personal experience? And just like you said, I have lived quite a life. I have had a lot of experience, some negative, some good. I mean, so I think there's this misunderstanding that I'm not talented. I think that there's this misunderstanding that I don't actually have my kid. I just don't share my son anymore unless he asks to be shared. Because motherfuckers on the internet are so ridiculous. And I'm the mom that will absolutely find your IP and show up. Like, I am that parent. So it's like, you can't go that far. Like with me and my kid, it's probably not the safest thing to do. You're better off in a grizzly enclosure at the LA Zoo.
Not the zoo.
The zoo.
Well, no, listen, you are immensely talented. I mean, listen, not everyone can say they sang the theme song to America's Next Top Model.
True.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, I just remembered I did like a little background moment on the Prince of Egypt soundtrack with my dad as well.
Girl, that's what I'm saying.
I was a kid. It didn't, I thought about it the other night because I saw the Prince of Egypt trailer. I was like, didn't I do a background or two on there with my god brother and my brother and my god sister? I think we did.
You did. You're very talented. And listen, you also are very opinionated, like all of us are. I comment on people's stuff too. Listen, you are known for your comments. You recently commented on Megan's Law. You didn't like that Megan Thee Stallion utilized the Megan's Law in her song. Mm-hmm. You're very vocal about that. Mm-hmm. And you said something along the lines of, her family should sue Megan Thee Stallion. Do you feel strongly about that still? Why?
This is literally just what I said. Like, imagine losing your child in one of the most horrific ways that a parent could lose a child. Sexual assault and murder at the age of 7 on your block that you thought was safe. And while you lobbied for legislation for years and years and years, or however long it took for the law to actually go into effect and to become a federal law, I would think that it would be very painful to know that, yes, we did lobby for this legislation at the expense of my slain daughter. And then, I mean, I didn't do my research, but I've never heard of like anybody in the urban community ever donating to the Megan Conka Foundation. I've never heard of, anybody sending their condolences on the anniversary of her passing to her parents in the urban community. So to use it as a direct shot at another woman because of the allegations against that woman's husband, I get that this is rat beef, and I get that it's a no bars hold, and I get all of that. But I do feel like people's children and people's deceased loved ones should be off limits. Because don't you ever profit off my pain, especially the pain of me losing a parent, losing a child. So I want every red cent. And I wanted to go to the Megan Conka Foundation because isn't the whole thing here, well, she brought attention to the law. I didn't even know. Well, that's not my problem. I knew what the law was. I remember my parents not letting us go outside to play if unsupervised, even though we did grow up with a silver spoon in our mouths and in an affluent, predominantly white area. Like, it didn't matter. So I remember that. And I have a family, again, who through our dysfunction, I'm very educated. So I was educated beyond just us, And so to me, it just was a super low blow. And I don't listen to secular music much. I promise I don't. I'm very much a gospel girl. So I don't know what shots were fired from, pun intended, from Nikki's side to Meg's side that made Meg go that low. But multiple things can be true at once. I still feel like it was a shitty thing to do. And I feel like her parents or her foundation deserve a piece of the money that Megan has profited off of.
You were also recently in the news for something going on with Glorilla.
That was old.
Have you and Glorilla made up, girl?
I will never. Ever.
No.
Ever. Ever.
Because
Never.
like you said, you're very educated, so I felt like you were just trying to educate
I was.
on the music business, on splits and publishing.
Well, I think what did it for her was because I said it's true. If it weren't for Hit Kid, we wouldn't know her. And I only said that because, let's face it, that is the hit that puts you on the map. Nationwide. Okay, you could have already been a hood legend. Cool. But, I had never heard of her before that. And there's nothing wrong with that. No one had heard of me publicly before Love and Hip Hop. No one had knew that my kid, is a B2K, that I had a kid by a B2K member, unless they were in my family and my immediate friend circle, because we didn't have all of this. Social media and podcasts and reality TV was a thing, but it wasn't what it is now, So there was still a level of privacy that we had. Even our first season, we still had a certain level of privacy. And you then slid in my DM, and the first thing you brought up is my kid. And then you reported the DMs. And then you go to the label to have my page taken. And you're subbing me on Twitter. And okay, cool. The worst part, the publisher didn't want to give me the back end for my book. I had to refund Black Friday and Cyber Monday promo. All in all, I lost out on 67 grand because I didn't have a social media. And then you did this in November, right before the holidays. So, yeah, no, you took from my child. Nothing I said took from you. Nothing I said damaged your career. Nothing I said was incorrect. And nothing I said did I feel was disrespectful. Now, if you felt disrespected, you could have just said that. It gave very much, I used to watch you and I was a fan, and your comment, because it's you, gained a lot of traction. Meanwhile, I was looking at other Grammy-nominated songwriters and producers with blue checks. Clearly, you are not a musician, Miss Ma'am, because if you were, you would have known that these Grammy Award winners below me, whose comments might not be getting as much traction, but they still have blue checks. But the public is not really aware of a lot of producers. So those comments get looked over. The consumer doesn't know how it works when multiple people are writing a song. So when they see these people in the comments, you have no idea that person penned some of your favorite records that y'all niggas is still in the club shaking ass to at 40 and 40 fucking 5, and some of y'all old freaknik hoes too. Shit. So it's like, you know, it gave very much my feelings are hurt. And that's okay. I would have apologized because I know what my intentions were and were not. And it was not to disrespect her. So her and that nose spread wider than the Himalayas, and I will never be friends. Hallelujah. Put her next to Apryl at my funeral. They could sit together.
So we have a +1.